Hey guys, so for my final video, I decided to pick the book The Bug Out Gardening Guide by Ron Foster. So this is a survival book about gardening when you really don't have any supplies and you have no way of getting supplies, but you need to have food and be able to produce food. So to begin the book, he gives you an example of what bug out gardening is, because that's kind of a strange phrase, right? So he says, this book was written in order to have an open, optimistic discussion on the concept of bug out gardening, building a garden in an area that's outside of one's comfort zone and most likely has never been planted before. So this is perfect if you really have no supplies, no soil, and you just need to start. So this book, it talks a lot about how the perfect place to start your garden, and the best part about this book is it tells you ways to make things without really having supplies. So making fertilizer, making Miracle-Gro, making organic pesticides and things like that when you really don't have many supplies. So I am moving out of my house in a few days, so there's no way for me to build a garden in my backyard. So I decided I went and got a cactus and I put him in this little pot with some soil from the backyard. And so I decided to just make a few of the things in the book that he talked about that are really interesting. So the first one is a DIY safe organic pesticide, completely safe for all plants and everything. So what you would do is you would mix a teaspoon of baking soda and a cup of cooking oil and then a cup of water. And so what you're going to do is I just use any old spray bottle, so this is not the Tangler, but it's the pesticide. And so you just spray it on the plant every few days and it keeps the pests away. So that's really cool, and it's completely organic, which is so nice and so hard to find these days, because obviously when you go to your local grocery store, you're not really sure exactly what you're getting. Let's see, and then another thing he said you could also do is a spray for powdery mildew. If you ever get that powdery, awful mildew on your plants, you would literally just take a teaspoon of this baking soda, mix it with a quart of water, and then you'd spray it on your plant every 2 days until the mildew is gone. So baking soda is referenced a lot in this book, like one of the cheapest, easiest things to do, and completely safe and organic. So if you're making things for you to eat, obviously, which is the point of the book. Yeah. Another super important part of this book is he would tell you exactly, let's say you have a 10 by 10 plot of land that you're going to put your soil on. So he'll tell you exactly how much soil's good, how much fertilizer to put on that, and then with different plants and produce that you're planting, he told us exactly how far apart to put everything, which plants can't necessarily be next to each other, which I found really interesting about tomatoes because they're so acidic. You have to be super careful with them, and you also have to obviously grow them up. So a lot of people have the metal grates around them. So that's very interesting to know if you want to mix all your produce together. Obviously you do. You should know tomatoes should be kept away from everything, separate pots, all that fun stuff. Another interesting fun fact from the book is that you can use your urine and it actually makes an amazing fertilizer for plants, which is so weird, I know. So the reason that your urine is so good for plants is because it's so filled with nitrogen. So what you would do is you would dilute 1 part urine to 20 parts water, and it is such a high nitrogen fertilizer that would be so nutritious for your plants and nutrient rich. It would obviously help them grow. So one of the reasons that I actually chose this book and got drawn to it was, so looking at the author, Ron Foster, he is a survival guide expert. He has so many books out and so many skills, and he did so many things. He was in the Army, the Air Force, he was a gemologist, so he studied gems and stuff. He was an investment banker. This man's done it all, so he has skills for every single thing you can possibly think of. So, and he's so passionate about reusing. That's the best part, is everything from your garden that you don't use, he gives you another way to use it. So for example, he has a big section about weeds and how to get weeds out, naturally, no pesticides in them, whatever. And then, so once you get all the weeds out, you would use them to compost. And then you could put other things like eggshells are super nutrient rich and, leftover food and things like that, but nothing goes to waste. So you'd use that, compost it, and then you have a super nutrient-rich fertilizer. So that's what I really liked about him, is he is not wasting. He knows you don't have supplies, so there's no reason to waste what you already have, which is perfect. So I mentioned earlier that the author loves to use baking soda. He has so many different uses for it in your garden, super helpful. So he has an entire section also about 15 uses for vinegar in your garden. So for example, some of them are keeping fruit flies away, helping acid-loving plants such as tomatoes, Rust Eliminator, kills mold, keeps ants away, deters rabbits, raccoons, cats, whatever. Once again, vinegar, super cheap, super natural, safe, not like, no chemicals and stuff. And you can use it for so many different things in your garden. So I just love that, even if you think, oh, I don't want to have to go spend a bunch of money to start a garden. I know the produce is better for me, but no, it really is not that expensive, and it's super easy, and you can use so many little things for so many things in your garden. Like, you can use so many supplies and make so many different things that will help you in the long run in your garden. So, in conclusion, if you're thinking about starting a garden and you're a beginner and you've never done it, this book is so simplified, very easy to understand. Even if you want to have one plant, this has so many useful recipes to where you don't need to go out and spend a lot of money. Like, this book was $16 on Amazon, but you would spend so much more money going out and buying all of these, insecticides and fertilizers and everything. So I highly suggest investing in this, and especially if you're in a survival situation, you need to grow some food, this is definitely a good book to have. But yeah, it was a pleasure having class with you guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your year.